Hey everybody, it's Safia Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. Yeah! It's just Marco here once again to talk about finally getting these list videos done for now. I mean, God, it has been like I'm enslaved through doing list videos. Like, if it's not my list videos, it's doing all of Safi's list videos that she had to catch up on. And so she, wasted this entire half of a year or more just doing list video after list video instead of just getting them all done in January like I told her to. And I admit, I should have done this one a lot sooner, for sure. It's just, they're a pain, honestly. They're a pain to edit. They're a pain because when you film them, you feel like you can't go long enough because, you just want to talk for hours and hours about these lists and about, why is that one over that one? Why is this one really good? Why is this one not as good? It's really tough doing list videos, but it's fun. It's fun. I much prefer focusing on the individual things, though, which I think that I've come to realize that because I used to really I still do, kinda. I used to have, a fetish for list videos. I used to have this obsession with just, okay, what's your number 10? My number 10 is that. And then my number 9 is that. It was a weird thing. But I'm here today to talk about my top 10 TV seasons of the 2010s decade. And these are all individual seasons, so it's a lot more individual, not with other, it's not like the full show, it's just a season, so it's a lot more in-depth. And so, let's get started. My number 10 is Californication Season 6. And I know some people are going to be like, what? That one? Yes, because let me tell you something. Californication is one of the greatest shows of all time, if not the greatest show. It is just so funny. It's so hilarious. It's so sad. It's so heartwarming. It's so happy. It's perfect. It is the perfect show. It has everything you could ask for. It's got great, hot actresses getting naked. Even some of the ones who don't get naked as much, they're still effing hot to look at in these seasons. And it's it's like the perfect casting. Whoever did the casting is just, let's be buddies. Let's be best friends because you have great taste. And then you got Hank Moody, one of the greatest characters of all time. He's just so relatable, the way that he, not to get too personal, but just the way that he's a creative person, and he's really lonely, and he wants to do the right thing, and he's got this tough journey that he has to go on with this bitch Karen. And her name is literally Karen. You can't make this shit up. Before people were calling typical bitchy women Karens, this guy who made Californication literally wrote a character who was a Karen named Karen, and she is the epitome of Karens. She is so effing awful. She is worse than Skylar White. She is not as bad as Alana Bloom and Hannibal, but she is still pretty bad. And But then you got Charlie Runkle, played by Evan Handler. And I remember his name because I follow him on Instagram. And he is just the perfect sidekick. He's hilarious. You got his wife, Marcy, played by the woman who voiced Bobby in King of the Hill. I mean, what an incredible cast. And in season 6, let me tell you something. Season 6 is kind of bad. I mean, it is bad, but for some reason, like, I still love it. I still love to rewatch it. In fact, I rewatched the series last year, and I figured out that this season was the best out of the later seasons. And if you don't know what that means, Californication is basically 2 shows. It's seasons 1 through 4, part 1, and then part 2 is seasons 5 through 7. And out of 5, 6, and 7, 6 is the best one. It still has a lot of flaws, it's got a lot of stupid shit in it. But I still love it. It starts off, man, Hank, spoiler alert, after that dark ending of season 5, which was so dark, it's like, where do things go from here? Well, they don't go in very satisfying places, but still, you got this great storyline possibility. You got the feminazis who are some of the villains of this season. They're these crazy lesbian feminazis, and and it's basically like a huge F you to feminism. And then you got what was that guy's name? The big storyline is there's this guitar player named long-haired guy. I can't remember him at all. I remember his face. I think the real guy's like Tim Minchin or something, but I don't remember his character. But he wants Hank to help him write a musical, I think. And so Hank is pretty much, he loves rock and roll. And so this is pretty much his wheelhouse, dealing with rock and roll. And there's just the one thing is that, he's not really writing something. That's like, in season 2, he was writing a book, and in this, it's like he's writing a musical, which is kind of dumb, but still, it's just such a fun season, and if you really just let go and have fun with it, it's really good. And the ending, oh my god, that ending, it is so sad. He's got this perfect new love interest. Well, she's not that great compared to other love interests, but she's still great. And she's Faith, played by Maggie Grace. And, everyone said, Hank, go with her, go with her, go with her. And this little simp Hank, this little cuck, this little beta boy, he decides at the last minute, he's literally driving off into the sunset with a famous rock and roller. He's with this hot new biatch named Faith with her stupid family storyline that we had to deal with for an episode. And it's like the perfect ending. And then he says, no, wait, I gotta stop. And he stops and he goes back to California to get with Karen. That was such a sad ending. It's making me sad right now. And the music was incredible, and it's like, God, this is so heartbreaking. This grown man is so attached to Karen that she is an evil bitch the way that she acts this whole season. And it's like, why are you going back to her? Why? It's so dark. It is so dark. And then, of course, right in the opening of season 7, it's like she's not even home. And then it's like she's dating like a hippie guy. Like, God, what a Karen. Fuck you. And then another great thing about this season is that it sort of ends the stupid storyline of Charlie and Marcy having this bad breakup, this bad divorce. They get married again this season, which is great. Thank God. I was so sick of them not being married and not being a couple, because they're a perfect couple. Sorry about that. So anyways, that's my number 10. My number 9 is, Wait, what was my number 9? Oh yeah, Teen Wolf Season 3. This is gonna be short and sweet. Unlike the last one, which was like 8 minutes. Teen Wolf Season 3. To start off, I have a really mixed relationship with Teen Wolf. I was really, really into it. It was basically like my 6th through 7th grade obsession. And it was like my favorite show at that time, and I just loved it. I thought, this is great. This is like, you got monsters, it's horror. It's very funny at some points. It's very dark at some points. It's a really good show. And then the fans kind of ruined it for me and kind of like bullied me out of this Facebook group because I pointed out that they were... I won't get into that, but it was a terrible, terrible thing that just really soured me on watching Teen Wolf, because it's like, I'm supporting a show that has a fan base of evil pieces of shit who, they don't like have people having contrary opinions. And I really don't like that. And, I know that, of course, I could still be a fan and just ignore that, but it really did just sour my taste of Teen Wolf. And, the thing that happens in Season 3 also soured my taste and sort of made me feel like the show was complete, even though it wasn't, and it still should have gone on longer. But in Season 3, you basically have 2 seasons in one. I mean, you have the first half, which is all about this Banshee villain who's awesome, and then you got Declan, an awesome villain, and so that you have that whole great season. And then you have the second half of the season where it's all about Styles becoming evil, and that part of the season is fantastic. So you have 2 epic stories in one, and it's like, how could you go wrong with that? It's perfect. I love it. I love Teen Wolf Season 3. It is definitely my favorite season. And I haven't seen any of them past Season 4 because, again, it really soured my taste. But I love Season 3. And there was a part that really cemented my love where, you had Allison, the love interest, through Seasons 1 through 3. She was so hot, and I had a huge crush on her. I was like, God, she is the perfect crush. If she was in my middle school at that time, I would have, seriously. I mean, she was perfect. And in Season 3, she gets killed, and it was the most sad moment of all time. And it really it was such an impactful moment, to see your TV crush get killed on screen, and to get killed by Styles. I can't remember because I only saw it once, but I think by Styles. And it was just, Styles was such a great villain when he went dark, and I just loved it. It did have some issues though, at the beginning. It was really confusing at first, and they had these weird gay characters, I think, at this one point, and it felt really kind of cringy, like it was an agenda. But other than that, I love Season 3, especially the second half. My number 8 is Bates Motel Season 1. I'm going to keep this one even shorter. This was a fantastic start to a fantastic show. I really did not know if I would like it or not, and I was not really enthusiastic at all about Charlie from piece of shit Charlie and the Chocolate Factory being Norman Bates. But wow, he did a great job. You have Vera Farmiga, another sexy actress. She's also a really good actress as well, and she does a great job this whole series, and especially in Season 1, in playing this character who, it's like, how could they have done? It's unbelievable how good this show was and how they managed to pull it off. And so I loved it. I'll always remember the first day of watching it. I was homesick from school. I had a cold or something, and I remember watching that first episode while eating my boxed chicken noodle soup. And it was just such a great episode, and it was really a good season. You know what was really good about it? The villains. You had the man in room number 9. The guy who kept saying, "Where'd you hide it? Where'd you hide it? Where'd you hide it?" Like, God, that was so creepy and yet so funny at the same time. And he was just such an epic villain. And then you had the heartbreaking part where Norman's dog dies. You got that evil police officer who's with the sex trafficking. He was a great villain. You have Romero, Sheriff Romero, who you didn't know if he was a villain or not, and then it turns out he's this awesome badass hero who continues to get better and better. And just, wow, I loved Bates Motel Season 1. And then you got his brother Dylan, and Dylan is such a great new character. In fact, I like Dylan most out of everyone. And then, if that's not enough, you got Emma. And now, I didn't like Emma really the first season because I thought she was just kind of a stereotypical, nice girl who doesn't get the nice guy because he's too busy fawning after the bitch Bradley. And let me tell you something, the worst thing about this season is Bradley. I mean, she is just a complete irritating high school girl who you want to die. And you get to see her die in season 3, so it's good. That pays off. If she hadn't died, I would probably rate this season lower, because it is hard to watch this season, with that cringe-worthy sex scene with her and Norman, where they're, like, playing under the sheets, like, oh, God, what a, but anyway, highly recommend Bates Motel. My number 7 is Better Call Saul Season 2. This was back when Better Call Saul was good. It was back when it felt like a new show. It felt like a show that could go on for 10 seasons. It felt like they were going at such a nice pace instead of rushing through everything. It really felt like, it went off in this really interesting direction where he had to work for Thomas and Maine, and it just did not fit. And that whole heartbreaking storyline of him realizing that, and then he has to basically quit or get fired, and what a great story. And then you have Mike, who has this incredible storyline where we get Hector. Hector was originally supposed to be a real human villain in season 3 of Breaking Bad, but then they made him crippled and unable to talk. But in this show, it felt like such an incredible idea to get Hector as a walking around human villain who can talk in Better Call Saul. I mean, what a great idea. And it's just stuff like that I loved with this season of Better Call Saul. So many cool creative things like that. And then the finale, where that reveal at the end where Chuck was taping him the whole time. Oh my God. That was like an epic reveal. And, Chuck, what a great villain. I really never felt sorry for him, and I never agreed with him at all. Ever. And he really cemented it when he pulled out the tape recorder. And I just, that was so cool. And, and that's another thing too. He's an older actor, and yet he was able to get this fantastic role. I really liked that they did that, where they had this older character. Usually, Hollywood has a tendency to discriminate against older actors and actresses, and so I really liked that he got to play this great villain in the show, and I wish that they hadn't have rushed and killed him off so fast. So yeah, my number 6 is Bates Motel Season 2. This show just gives me more of what I loved from Season 1. You got an even better villain in the old guy. I can't remember his name at all, but I remember he was a great villain. And then you got Zane. And Zane is so underrated. He's got this hilarious haircut where it's like this weird white hair, and he's like a crazy guy who's just like, he's just the weirdest gangster ever. and he just screws everything up, and it's hilarious. And then you got Dylan, and Dylan is basically the star of this season, so that's why this season is really my favorite. And I remember at the time just thinking, this is gonna be considered an iconic show. In season 1, it was sort of like, okay, maybe it could be good next season, maybe it could be bad, but season 2 really cemented the show in being an epic show. My number 5 is Being Human, season 4. This is one of the greatest endings of all time. Basically what happened is, unbeknownst to me at the time of watching it, the people who made Being Human, they basically lost all their budget, and they were supposed to do a season 4 and 5 with basically a tiny little budget compared to the other 3 seasons, and they decided instead of doing something like that they would just do one last season 4, and that they would just use all the money they had to make it great. And you know what? It was incredible. It was amazing. Basically, every character dies. I mean, it is really dark. It's got great villains. It's just got so many great surprises and twists. And it is really good. I can't sell this show enough. It's this last season especially, it's basically a bunch of monsters fighting each other to the death the whole season. And then the finale is just perfect. I mean, it is a perfect show, and, this season was a perfect show. And on top of all that, season 3 was abysmal. And somehow, they managed to go from season 3, one of the worst shows of the decade, to season 4, which was a perfect season. So I really have to applaud them for that, because season 3 was just so bad. I mean, you had zombie vampires. I mean, oh god. Ugh. So yeah, season 4 of Being Human, perfect. My number 4 is Californication season 4. And now this is another fantastic season. It really got dark this season. And it's tough because I do have a lot of issues with it. It's very poorly structured this season, and it feels rushed at some points. It feels like it really could have been longer, probably like 5 more episodes or something, because it just had so much greatness this season. You got him, Hank, and he's got to go to a trial over having sex with an underage girl, Mia. And, you got Eddie Nero comes in this season. You got, who's that hottie? What's her name? I don't know. The actress who plays Mia in they're making a movie about Hank too, about his book where he wrote about having sex with Mia. And, I don't know that's one thing that I always found weird. Who the hell reads these type of books? These weird books about, like, real life, about, like, oh, my name is Hank, and I like to go around drinking and having sex all the time. Like, is that really something people like to read about? Like, ugh. Like, it's too personal. It's like, keep that to yourself. Or make it like a great fiction story where something else happens that, isn't a part of real life, but just like him going around having sex, like, ugh. And so I always found that weird, but this season was really good. It was really funny, and it got really dark once again, and there was this really dark moment where, multiple ones. There was one episode that was really bad because Hank basically he tried to commit suicide on accident. And he overdosed. And basically this whole episode, Karen treated him nice again. And then when she found out that it was an accident, she completely treated him like shit. And that just cemented her being a fucking Karen. And that was a horrible, horrible moment, horrible episode. It was so sad and so dark, the way that this bitch, she she thinks that he committed suicide. He tried to. And then when she finds out it was an accident, she goes back to treating him badly. Ugh. What a terrible character. And then you got Charlie, who's trying to have sex with 100 women. And he ends up getting with this girl who's just completely insane. And this season is just perfect. I mean, look at the picture that I put up. Look at that. Look at that. That alone is why this season is the best season. No, it's not. Both seasons 1, 2, and 3 are better than season 4. I don't know, why it's a great season. I mean, you got Mia, who comes back finally, in season 3. What I mean by that is that she really, her character had a lot of explaining to do because she wasn't in season 3, and then she just pops up at the end as a villain. And so I really like that she continued to be on the show in season 4. She wasn't just like a villain in the background. And that moment where that was a huge turn on, I gotta say. That threesome moment where it's him and then her and the actress who played her. That was like heaven. Looking at that was like that's just perfection. And that alone makes this an incredible season. And then the finale is just perfect. But then there was also this really dark moment in an episode where Hank basically becomes the villain. Because we find out that he met Mia before he met her and then didn't know that she was under 18. And so it's like, oh shit, he actually did know, and he did it to get back at the stepdad for getting with Karen. And I thought that was really dark, that moment. And, they make it seem like he was drunk and he didn't really see that it was her. But I don't know. I got a really bad feeling when I saw that moment. And it was really dark. So yeah, season 4 of Californication, perfection. My number 3 is Cobra Kai season 2. Now, I'll say it's kind of also season 1, because I don't really like season 1 compared to season 2, but I still love them both kind of equally in a way, where it's like, it's this great new show, and, it was just so great watching it and seeing, like, that you can make a sequel years later, and it works, and, it's original, but at the same time kind of reminds you of the other ones, the old ones. And then, it has no agendas in it, too. I mean, that's another thing. It's like, people think that I'm sexist and racist. But, this show just has diversity naturally. And it really works. Like, there's this great moment in season 2 where Hawk is at this party. And he basically finds out that Moon is a lesbian. She's bi in front of everyone. And so she starts making out with this other girl. And Hawk gets really pissed off. And it's like this ultimate humiliation. And I just thought that was perfect. And I love that. And, stuff like that is the way to do diversity. Not to do it like in Fear Street. So I gotta say that, for the diversity element, the natural diversity, I gotta say that, point that out for the people who always act like I'm this horrible person because I don't like the agenda shows. Season 2 really, again, it's another season that just gave us more of what we liked in season 1. I really liked it. The dark ending was fantastic. The finale was just like perfect. It was a little goofy in the school fighting, and I gotta say, I'm a little sick of these, like, modern fight scenes where you have two people fighting and it's really intense, and then in the background you got this and it's like this cheesy 80s music that's playing while these two people are fighting and having this intense battle. And I gotta hear this bad music in the background just completely taking me out of the fights. And that really made me upset watching this season especially. But then there was that great episode where Johnny's friend, he has cancer, and he wants to go on one last road trip with his friends. And I thought that was really good. And then the part where him and Daniel, they become friends momentarily, and the part with him trying to date and having problems with that. And like, this was a really great season. And I haven't finished season 3, honestly, because I was a little upset with how little views the reviews got, because it felt like, it honestly pissed me off how they released it all in one day, because, that's just not a good way to do things at all. Because what people do is they watch a review that day, they watch the whole season that day, and then they forget about it. And I really hate that type of binge watching culture, this kind of privileged, bratty culture of people who are like, oh, why do I have to wait? I just want to watch it all in one day and get it over with. Let's just get it over with. And it's like, I hate that attitude. But anyways, season 2 was really good. My number 2 is Better Call Saul season 1. This was such a great surprise of a show. It really is like underappreciated, because I go back and I rewatch it, and it's so much better than all the other seasons. And it's like, where did this show go? Like, the show is nothing like what it was in season 1. You had all these great lawyer storylines with him, with Tony the toilet buddy, that fetish toilet toy, and then you had like the guy who wanted to start his own country, and there was just so many great stories like that. And from after this season, everything went downhill. And it was just a perfect season of television. And it doesn't help that the last episode of season 1 is named after me. It's named Marco. So, there you go right there. And this was also back when Kim was a good character. In seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, and probably 6, she really goes downhill as a character and really becomes a type of character. But this was back when she was still good, and when I still really liked her and thought, I like her a lot, and I think she's a great female character. Not anymore. And this was also back when the show was more about lawyering than it was about drug shit, which is what it turned into. It's basically now Breaking Bad 2.0, but without Walter White and Jesse, which is like not good. And it's really gone downhill because of these people who just want to rush everything to an ending. And so what they did too was they sort of rushed everything after season 3. And seasons 1 through 3 was really the highlight of the show. But season 1 was still the best, because it was perfect in its balancing of being funny, dark, and good, and dramatic. It wasn't too funny, it wasn't too serious, it was a great balance. And Jimmy was a great character. I really liked his character, how he was in the beginning, and you can see how he changed. And just the chance, the possibilities of getting to see his transformation was really promising back in season 1, before they rushed everything and ruined everything in this show, sorry. And my number 1 is Twin Peaks: The Return. I got a lot of problems with this show. A lot. Especially this season. This season really takes the cake in terms of problems. That ending, the way that there's no storyline that gets a satisfying ending, or an ending at all, basically. Like, every storyline is just left open, and that type of stupid, like, you just come up with an ending yourself type of attitude, I just do not like that at all. And then there's so many storylines that just get ruined because the possibility of them outweighs what actually happens. But still, after saying all that said, I loved Twin Peaks: The Return. I loved it. Remember how I said Pig, the movie Pig with Nicolas Cage. Remember how I said that was like a tiny little of fresh air into the film industry, the shitty film industry? Well, Twin Peaks The Return is a giant... It is a hurricane of fresh air into the TV film industry. It is a masterpiece. There's so much originality. There's so much great character. There's so many touching moments, so many sad moments, so many fantastic, charming moments. The villains are really good for the most part. Cooper, when he's on, he's really good. And then Dougie. Let's get back to what I liked about this season. It's sad because, with Twin Peaks, back when The Return came out, I was going to review it. And the reason I didn't review it was because Safi was slacking and did not get her reviews done. And so I couldn't even review it. It was so sad because the whole summer I was loving this show. I was loving every single thing, basically just enjoying every episode for the most part, and loving how afterwards, getting to discuss all that and getting to watch all these people have their theories, like Obnoxious and Anonymous, especially with Cameron, the great almighty Cameron Clark Bar Cameron, and his people, like Hal. What a great community of people that I was introduced to with this season. It was really like, it's not really necessarily the show, which I gotta mention, I've rewatched Twin Peaks The Return about 4 or 5 times, and I'll probably continue to rewatch it over and over again, whereas most of the other shows on this list I'll probably never watch again, or might rewatch it like years and years later. So that's another thing, lots of rewatchability. But even more so than the actual show was the community that I found. You got Rosenfeld 10, who I'm friends with on Facebook. He's so great. He's such an underrated YouTuber. I hope he does more videos and he gets more support soon. And then you got Twin Peaks Coffee Time. They're pretty good. And, what a great community. What a fantastic group of people. Aside the pretentious gatekeepers, of course. It was so fun to discuss the show with them and to feel like you're in this community of people who all love the show. There with so many films and TV shows nowadays, there's a lot of divisiveness, a lot of like, oh, are you a racist, sexist, homophobe who doesn't like Star Wars? Well, then you're racist. There's so much, like, disgusting fan divisiveness like that. But with Twin Peaks, it was a lot more nice. It was a lot more together of like, oh, you didn't like that? Oh, that's interesting. Why didn't you like that? Oh, you didn't like episode 8? Why not? I really liked it personally. I liked this and this about it. It was very nice. So, I really enjoyed that. And of course, it has great music. It has great acting. I mean, you want to talk about acting with Kyle MacLachlan, the way that he plays like 3 or 4 or 5 characters in one season. I mean, what an incredible talent he is. So many great things to talk about. Like Tammy's ass, for one thing. That's another great thing about this show that doesn't get mentioned a lot. People talk about like really minor things, and then you got that right in front of you, and it's like, how do you not talk about that? I mean, you talk about coffee and cherry pie more than you talk about that. It's very bizarre. And then you got like the arm wrestling scene. Episode 8 is basically a Halloween-themed Twin Peaks episode. I watch it every Halloween, and it really works well. You got everything you could want. You got that opening with the woodsman, that creepy part where they're healing Mr. C. You got the part where the woodsman's going around crushing skulls. You got the frog moth scene. That episode was such a great horror episode. I mean, God, there's so much to love about Twin Peaks: The Return, and it's so unfortunate that because of Safi, I didn't start the channel. I should have just started it myself, so that I could have gotten all you Twin Peaks fans to come here and subscribe, because I love Twin Peaks, and it's like, I've never done a video on Twin Peaks. It's unbelievable. And it's like, this show is so important to me too, because it was I graduated from high school, and then immediately after graduating, I got to watch this show the whole summer. And it was almost like a congratulations, Marco, a gift from David Lynch for going through that 4 years of torture in high school and 3 years of torture in middle school. Honestly, it was worth it just to watch this show, just to watch Twin Peaks: The Return. It was such an incredible event, and I wish it would go on for more seasons. I loved also how it was 18 episodes. So also David Lynch said, fuck you to all the people who are so lazy they only do like 10 episodes or 6 episodes. Like, F that shit. I'm doing 18, biatch. And like, that's just great. I love that. And we need more shows like that really push the boundaries instead of playing it safe and just doing the minimum amount of work. And that's another thing. The creativity with Twin Peaks: The Return, fantastic. Just so many good things about this show. And then the cast. I mean, this has a perfect cast. I mean, you got Mia from Californication. I mean, that's enough to sell me right there. You just so many great actors that just, even if they just play a small little role in an episode, just a perfect cast. You have, oh yeah, what about the scene with the Mr. Jackpot scene? God, that scene is so funny and yet so just cool to see. It's just perfect. It's just, I could go on for hours talking about this show, and I'd love to. Of course, I wanted to do it with Safi, but of course, I might have to just do it myself, because I am sick of not doing videos because Safi slacks off and doesn't do her written video because she's too scared to talk impromptu in front of the camera like I do every single effing day. Anyways, wow, that went on forever. That is the end of my list video. Please like this video if you liked it. Give it a thumbs up. Comment. Tell me what you think about my list and all of my funny opinions, because I say a lot of stuff just for laughs. I'm not really like a serious fanatic who's like, oh yeah, I'm just a guy having fun, doing fun YouTube videos, talking about stuff that I love, stuff that I hate. And at the end of the day, I'm a filmmaker too, and so I want to make movies that other people can talk about and that other people can do channels about and say, what are the top 10 movies Marco made? That's my ultimate goal, honestly, even though I'm a YouTuber right now. And then subscribe if you'd like to see more list videos and reviews and such. And I just gotta end this video now because it's so hot out here doing this review in a hot car. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.